Next, we will hear from our very own Representative Eagle on CS for HB 535. Representative Eagle, bring us home.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the time to present this today. This is House Bill 535. It's the Building Codes Bill. This is my third year carrying the Building Codes Bill, and this bill in particular, in some fashion, passed off the House floor last year. It died in Senate when we adjourned sine die. We picked it up and have amended it slightly in the last committee, and now I bring it to you today. And allow me to read for you some of the provisions. Number one, it makes several adjustments to the training and experience required to take the certification examinations for building code inspector, plans examiner, and building code administrator. Number two, it exempts employees of apartment communities with 100 or more units from contractor licensing requirements if making minor repairs to existing electric water heaters or existing electric HVAC systems, if they meet certain training and experience criteria, and if the repair involves parts costing under $500. Number three, it adds Division II contractors to the Florida Homeowners Construction Recovery Fund section. Number four, it clarifies that portable pools used for swimming lessons under certain conditions are not subject to regulation. Number five, it provides funding for the recommendations made by the Building Code System Uniform Implementation Evaluation Work Group and provides funding for Florida Fire Prevention Code informal interpretations. Number six, it restricts the Florida Building Code from requiring more than one fire service access elevator in residential buildings of a certain height, allows the creation of local boards to address conflicts between the code and the Florida Fire Prevention Code, and adds new provisions to the fire code. It authorizes local building officials to issue phase permits for construction, prohibits local governments from requiring payments of any additional fees, charges, or expenses associated with providing proof of licensure as a contractor, recording a contractor license, providing a recording evidence of workers' compensation insurance coverage by a contractor. It exempts Wi-Fi smoke alarms and those that contain multiple sensors, such as those combined with carbon monoxide alarms, from the 10-year non-removable, non-replaceable battery provision. The bill prohibits adopting mandatory blower door air infiltration testing and mechanical ventilation device requirements into the 2014 code and reverts to the 2010 code. It allows a specific energy rating index as an option for compliance with the energy code. And finally, it creates the Calder-Sloan Swimming Pool Electrical Safety Task Force to study and report on specific standards, especially with regard to minimizing risk for electrocutions linked to swimming pools. That is the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Eagle. You have an amendment as well as an amendment to the amendment, so could you please first explain your amendment?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. One thing we've noticed in the state of Florida, especially in my district, after the recession, as building stopped, the labor force left the state to find employment elsewhere, and now that building has come back, we have a labor shortage in our state. So what this amendment does is creates a construction industry workforce task force to address the existing critical shortage of trained individuals in the building, construction, and inspection industries. Task force members will be representatives from the various construction-related industries, appointees from the legislature, and one representative from the Career Source Florida K-12 education and apprenticeship. The task force will be administered by the University of Florida Rinker School of Construction. Go Gators. There will be at least 3 meetings and a final report to the legislature by February 1st, 2017. For administration of the task force, $50,000 shall be provided from the existing funds to the Building Code Compliance and Mitigation Program. And I'll note that those funds are from the industry itself. That's a surcharge from the permits that they file. That is the amendment.
Thank you. You're now recognized to explain your amendment to the amendment.
The amendment to the amendment removes the per diem reimbursement for task force appointees, trying to save some taxpayer dollars.
Okay. Are there questions on the amendment to the amendment? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the amendment? Is there debate on the amendment to the amendment? Representative Eagle, you're recognized to close on your amendment to the amendment. Having waived close, is there objection to the amendment on the amendment to the amendment? Seeing no objection, show the amendment adopted. Now we are back on Amendment 1 as amended. Again, are there questions, members? Is there testimony in the audience on Amendment 1 as amended? Is there debate? Seeing none, Representative Eagle?
Waive.
Waive close. Are there objections? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Back on the bill as amended. Are there questions of the sponsor on the bill as amended? Questions of the sponsor. Representative Angolia.
Representative. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative, I've received many emails regarding Section 6 the AC contractor provision and the exemption. Can you just explain to me the nexus of how that made it into the this bill and how it got in last year and how we got to this point this year for me, please?
Representative Eagle, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is always comes forward each year and offers a path for many different industries associated with the building contracting industry in the state of Florida to try to find ways to make government less burdensome in their industry, try to save peel back some regulations and save some money for contractors and beyond. This particular piece was brought forward by the apartment association, the apartment community, and basically what it does is it creates a very narrow field for any apartment complex with 100 units or more for their existing employees, their maintenance people who go through licensing and training to be able to make repairs to their own air conditioning units. And again, it's very narrowly tailored. I can get into that, but your question was how did this get in and where do we go? The existing bill, the bill that we first introduced last session was a $1,000 threshold. That passed off the floor of the House. And that went to the Senate. Again, when we left, when we signed, he died. The bill was essentially dead. When we reintroduced the bill this year, the bill did have the $1,000 threshold. However, we amended it as a compromise to bring it down to $500 and also said that those repairs cannot add up to anything over $500. They must be under $500. It can't be sectioned out. And that's where we are today with that compromise amendment, if you will, in the existing bill.
Madam
Follow-up?
Chair. Madam
Yes,
Chair.
you're recognized.
So you did, with the bill that hit the floor and passed out of the floor last year, you did receive feedback from the industry, and you sat and you listened to industry leaders, and you came up with the $500 number with the people in the industry. That's a correct statement?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We listened to feedback from all different parts throughout the summer and realized that there was possibly room to compromise and to make this less of a burden on, burden, if you will, the burden that they foresee. Again, I feel that it was very narrowly crafted as was. We felt that there was some room to make it a little bit more palatable for them, and we went ahead and made that change.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Any further questions, members? Seeing none, we'll move into testimony. Jennifer Hatfield from the Florida Swimming Pool Association.
I'm sure she had to step out, but she waved in.
Waves in support. Bruce Kirschner, proponent of the bill, National Utility Contractors Association of Florida. Wave in support. Very good. William Stander, I apologize, American Fire Sprinkler Association, a proponent of the bill. Wave in support. Teresa King, Florida Building and Construction Trades. For information, you put? Okay, opposition to Section 6. J.B. Clark, Florida Electrical Workers Association. You put here for information only?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. I really regret that Representative Eagle sent this task force to the University of Florida. I mean, come on, can't you be a Seminole fan? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But very seriously, I just want to be very, very brief. I represent the Florida Electrical Workers Association. We also have some very serious concerns about Section 6, and we're settled on that $500. That's nice to have that in there to reduce that level, but our concerns lies primarily, but not exclusively, with the quality and the qualifications of the workers that would be working on those systems. Good Representative Eagle has been more than good to work with, and there's indications that he'd like to sit down with us and other industry people and talk over some of the details, maybe improve it a little bit further. We really would appreciate that opportunity, Representative Eagle, and get through it all so that we can support that section of the bill. As far as the rest of the bill, it's a very long bill. We understand the bill. We understand the amendments. It's a very comprehensive bill, and that's the only section we have any grievance concern about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kelly Millette, Florida Apartment Association, a proponent of the bill.
Thank Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Kelly Millette, Ronald L. Book, PA, representing the Florida Apartment Association. You've heard a little bit about Section 6, which is what I'm here to talk to you about, and that's that minor work exemption for apartment maintenance technicians. I'm going to be brief in my remarks, as others have been as well, but I want to talk to you about some of these. I think some of you received emails suggesting that there are health and safety concerns. I'd like to point out what goes on right now in the city of Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville currently has a local license known as a property maintenance craftsman. That license allows you to do this kind of HVAC work on water heaters, and the qualification for that license is the apartment maintenance technician course and exam work that's included in the bill. So I want you to know that these technicians are in your local communities right now doing this work safely, effectively, efficiently, at a lower cost for tenants, and more responsive to tenants. So they're out there, they're doing this. Why did we come to the state to ask for this exemption? Because it's not simply enough to have it in your local communities. And why is that? Because that same technician who works in Jacksonville may not be able to go to Tampa and do that work without facing not simply fines, but criminal prosecution for doing that work. So that's why we've asked you to do that. We've tried to work with all the stakeholders to sort of narrow that language, make it as tailored as possible. And I thank you for your time. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Richard Watson, Associated Builders and Contractors of Florida, a proponent of the bill. He had to leave. He supports the bill. Carrie Hebrink, Florida Home Builders Association. She's a proponent of Florida Home Builders Waive in support. Michael Power, American Chemistry Council, an opponent of the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Michael Power, and I'm with the American Chemistry Council. Here today to speak in opposition to the bill over really Section 36. The American Chemistry Council is a national trade association. Here in Florida, we do represent a little over 18,000 employees with an annual product value of close to $13.8 billion. A number of those products that we do manufacture go into making homes energy efficient and affordable for consumers. And so because of that, we do have concerns with Section 36. It's the Energy Rating Index, which is a new compliance path for home builders to use that was presented in the 2015 code of here in Florida, the 5th adoption. We feel that for Florida, the 65 is pretty high. If you look at the scoring system, the HERS scoring system, Florida presently is scoring a 58. So that would be 7 points below what Section 36 proposes in the bill today. With that, I do look forward to the opportunity. I apologize for not being able to get with you before the hearing. I do look forward to that opportunity here in the future. Any questions?
Thank you. No?
Okay.
Next, we'll hear from Eva Reguera, proponent of the bill, Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Miami-Dade County Public Schools waives in support.
Waives in support. Bill Hunter, Association of Florida Community Developers, proponent of the bill.
Strongly support the bill.
Strongly support. Thank you, sir. James Engel, representing himself, City of Gainesville.
I'll waive my time. Thanks.
You'll waive your time. Okay, very good. Kay Edwards, Florida Apartment Association. Did not indicate if they're an opponent or, okay, very good. Hi.
Hi,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're recognized.
My name is Kay Edwards. I am in the apartment industry and have been for over 25 years. I am part of the South Group management team here locally in Tallahassee, and I'm speaking on behalf of the bill. I wanted to give you an example of one of the instances that this bill would affect. I'm on the ground floor with the residents. Say I get a phone call 3 o'clock in the afternoon from a resident who lives on the 3rd floor. It's August the 22nd. The chances that I'm going to be able to get an approved contractor to come out and fix that unit that evening are slim to none. My company, just like any other professional management company, only allows me to use vendors that have been previously approved. They have to have the proper liability insurance, the proper workers' comp documentation, a W-9. This information has to be on the list of pre-approved vendors. I may have two choices of people to call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to see if someone can help me out. What I'm probably going to hear is, we'll try to work you in tomorrow afternoon. Now, if it's 85 degrees outside, the temperature in their apartment on the 3rd floor is probably over 90. That leaves me with putting these people up in a hotel until we can get their air conditioning fixed. Now, if they have children or if they have asthma or some medical condition, the situation is made even worse. The course that is offered through our organization, the Apartment Association, is a nationally accredited course that is 90 hours of technical and non-technical coursework, 1 year of experience to learn some of the basic repairs that can be done on air conditioning units and water heaters. So the people that we're using do have the necessary training and skill to do minor repairs. Say if this air conditioner needs a capacitor, I have them in stock in the shop. I can send a man who's on site over within 15 minutes to fix these people their air conditioner. If I'm waiting on a contractor, it could be 24 hours, it could be 36, it could be 48 during peak season. So we are respectfully requesting that this bill move forward and that our trained maintenance staff are able to do minor repairs to air conditioners and water heaters. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Buddy Dewar, Florida Fire Sprinkler Association.
Madam Chair, I waive in support.
Waive and support. And Cam Fentress, Florida Refrigeration and AC Contractors Association. Section 6 opponent.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I appreciate hearing all the great comments from everybody, and I would like to say that we are strong proponents of all of the bill except for Section 6. And that gives us a great deal of pause because we do not insist that all repair work in apartments or anywhere else absolutely must be done by a licensed contractor, as much as we think that the folks have to actually be qualified. I'm glad that Ms. Millette brought up the city of Jacksonville because they have a licensing process and a qualification, and we think the licensing component is very important for accountability and to ensure that the people actually take the course and have passed the exam. We do not support the concept of allowing the coursework being done and having an exemption because there really is no accountability. That's an enormous problem that we have with this. Miami-Dade County has a very good licensing process for these apartment technicians, and they also have a certification process, licensing, and they also have coursework and an exam that they provide. We think Miami-Dade's is very good also. And what this would do is this would supersede any local license that exists now for these technicians, and we don't think that's a good direction to take. Ms. Edwards talked about, having difficulty finding a contractor who can come out. We understand that, and we think that if the technicians are actually licensed through a specialty license, not a full contractor's license, we think that that would be much safer, much better for the tenants. And that's what we recommend, and that would she would still be able to get somebody there right away. These are maintenance people who are on staff, at least it's my understanding. It's not they don't call them from another company to come and do the work. So we think that that would be a much better way to do it by licensure rather than by exemption. My folks are the ones who come out and they see what the system looks like when it has to be replaced or when the repair goes beyond whatever the maintenance people can do. They see firsthand exactly what's not safe about the repair work that's typically done. Lots of open wires and incorrect wiring and incorrect connections. Almost everything you do with air conditioning equipment involves dealing with Freon. That's a hazardous material. And a lot of problems come up with just failure to reconnect the electrical components correctly, and you have to almost always do that on a repair. So we're very concerned, and we don't insist that it be a licensed contractor. We very strongly believe that these folks need to have a license, not an exemption. We also think that the qualifications they talk about are sort of across the board. They cover about 5 different subjects, and we think that there needs to be a little bit more study with respect to plumbing and air conditioning, or heating and air conditioning, in order to be able to qualify to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe one of our members has a question for you. Representative Rollerson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your presentation, for being here. It's important we get all the facts. One of the questions I have, is there a quantifiable empirical evidential study of some sort, some way of independently verifying or determining the harm that has occurred because of non-licensed or non-qualified technicians doing repairs on these units? Are there deaths that have occurred? Is there some harm sitting out there that we have to do this or have these qualifications to resolve?
There is some information out there. I would have to go and find it, and I'm not sure it's quite that direct. But one of the problems that we have, and also building departments have this too, is that it's hard to tell who has done what work on the system. There's not much documentation on that. This issue comes up often enough in liability questions when, for instance, something goes wrong. Say, for instance, you have say an apartment complex, and there was a contractor who installed all the air conditioning units in it, and then there's some kind of a problem and some disaster happens or something happens that causes the apartment owner to sue the contractor, to come after the contractor. Well, if there have been repairs made by maintenance people, there's no way for the installing contractor, or for that matter the manufacturer, to be able to document and know what repairs were made by somebody who either wasn't licensed or wasn't qualified, because we can't get those. A lot of times those records just flat don't exist. They just don't keep those records. And that comes up often under the heading of what we call construction defects. There's a lot of litigation in that area. There are a lot of changes that are made to things after installation, and we have a hard time documenting that. I can try and get you some information on some studies, but a lot of it is just never documented, and it's very hard to, go back and get that information.
Thank you.
Representative Ingoglia?
Ms. Ventris, it's my understanding, we've known about this provision put in the Florida Building Code bill to be passed into law since last session.
Correct.
So my question to you is, where have you and your organization been letting us know about these issues? Because last session ended rather abruptly, I get it, but we had the whole summer for your organization to come to us and let us know about these issues, and now we're sitting in committee, and I'm a contractor, I'm a builder, and I'm getting bombarded a week, a couple of days, a couple hours before sitting in committee, and we're hearing about these issues. So my question to you is, why last minute? Why not 4 months ago, 5 months ago? Why didn't I hear about this? Why do I have to sit and have a conversation with Representative Eagle about this all last minute?
You're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate. We did actually have a number of conversations with Representative Eagle. He's very, very well aware of how we feel and what our position is on this. We had great conversations with him last session. We distributed a number of pieces last session to the entire House. Several times, up to the passage of the bill. So we did make our position known. We did also try to get some of our contractor members in various local areas to speak with their legislators, and now whether or not, they actually do it is another thing, and that sometimes that's, as you know, it can be pretty difficult to try to do that. But we have been proactive. But the other thing I'll say, too, is that we're not the proponents on this, and the proponents have not, made any move to sit and talk with us or to address our people at the local level and to try to come up with some kind of an agreement with them. There's been none of that discussion, so there's a little responsibility there, too. So,
Madam Chair?
Follow-up? Yes.
I will tell you that I have not received any information. I do not remember seeing any information on the House floor. I guess I really don't have a question as much as a statement, as saying just please don't bombard us, specifically me, as a contractor, last minute on this stuff. I apologize, Madam Chair, for the statement.
Okay. Any further members of the audience wishing to testify? Is there a debate on the bill as amended? Representative Golyer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, first of all, obviously, everybody on the committee knows that I'm a contractor, I'm a home builder. I will just say for the record that I do not believe, and I have spoken to proponents of the bill, I have spoken to the representative, Representative Eagle, that I do not believe there should be a carve-out. I'm a firm believer that there should not be for a bunch of reasons. I am up on the bill. I am going to vote for the bill. I'm not going to fight this because I do believe that the representative, in good faith, has communicated with the industry and gotten feedback from the industry and got this language into the bill. I believe that the industry had more than enough ample time to have constructive dialogue to get it to this point right now. So I'm not going to be the guy who's going to blow up this bill because I do believe there was good faith effort on all parts in order to get it to this point. But I will say for the record that I do believe that having a carve-out for this as a contractor, it should not be there. I personally believe that this should not be in the bill. And some of the reasons is that we are granting a statewide exemption and carving this out for what? So I am a CBC, a certified building contractor, which means that I can build homes, residential homes, and commercial buildings up to 3 stories. So I can build the building, but I can't go in, by law, I can't go in and fix the AC on the building. I just find that a little ridiculous. You know, and the big thing that I'm opposed to here is that because I am a builder, I cannot do the AC work myself. I have to hire an HVAC contractor because it has its own special classification as a specialty contractor under Florida law. It is a special license, special designation, special testing. I would have much preferred this not made it into the bill. I think it should have never been there, and I expressed my concern to the representative. I expressed my concern to some of you in the audience. I just wanted to state that for the record so everyone knew where I was. But I will be up on the bill. I will be up on the bill on the floor. I just want to thank, I personally want to thank Representative Eagle for dealing with the opponents on the bill in good faith, because I think he has. So thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me on this.
Any further debate? Representative Torres?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Eagle, I remember this from last session. I remember this bill. And I remember the concerns on the electrical, water heaters, HVAC system, the maintenance workers, and the 2 ladies that were just up here explaining, one from the apartment complex and the other one from a personal view, is, to me, anytime that anybody comes to do work in my house or where my family lives in an apartment complex, you want qualified people to do the work. You know, I don't want shortcuts on work that is vital to them, or electrical or anything that has to do with where they live. I will support your bill today. You'll get my vote today in committee. But if I get any more feedback as to something that needs to be tweaked, I will approach you on that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Van Zandt in debate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, as an architect, very familiar with the building code and its review periodically. Those people in my profession who actually review the building code and have a hand in writing it, as all others who have a hand in writing the building code never get through, as Representative Eagle has almost never gotten through finishing writing this bill. I commend him for taking this task on. That's monumental to do that, to take on the building code. And it's monumental for our county and city governments to take on the building code and understand it. And I will say that the HVAC people, as others, have done a good job of lobbying up here to carve out their, quote, profession as a single entity that restricts the rest of us. As an architect, I have consistently done the engineering and architecture on my designs, building hundreds of millions of dollars worth of construction, and actually building about half of what I've designed through the years. I have no problem designing an HVAC system, no problem repairing an HVAC system. It is not really that complicated. I will say that I applaud those, like City of Jacksonville and others, who have technician training and offer a certification based on that to do this work, because in due respect to our representatives that want to see this no shoddy work done, that's a way to do it. And that's a good way to do it. And so if you got 100 apartments, I think if you got 20 apartments, and you got a technician trained to do that work, he's more familiar with those HVAC systems than the guy coming in from the outside that maybe hasn't seen that set of apartments before, doesn't understand the design of those systems, and walks in off the street to repair them, even though he's licensed and can do it. But the guy that's there and works with it every day, he says, man, that unit in apartment number 26 always giving me trouble. I know exactly what you have to do. You know, you have to go doing this and this, and then it'll run again for 3 weeks. Eventually you have to replace it. But he's familiar with the system, and he knows what has to be done, and he can work with the apartment managers, and they can have ample time to make repairs, to get it right, and to see that their apartment unit runs as a whole, all of those apartments together with the people that they serve. And so I commend Representative Eagle for this good bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further debate? Seeing none, Representative Eagle, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members, for your time, members of the audience, and those who had some debate over this very non-controversial bill. I do appreciate it. And I know I'll touch on the apartment issue, obviously the AC issue. That's seems to be the main stickler here. Look, I respect the AC business. This is no way any kind of means of targeting an industry here in the state of Florida. AC is an extremely important industry to our state, so much so that one of the 2 statues we have at the United States Capitol is the guy who invented the AC system. Manny Diaz, I guess he's not here. We'll hear a bill about that later.
That's
in another
Pepe.
committee.
He'll be very angry that you got the wrong Diaz.
Oh, excuse me, you're right. Pepe Diaz.
We won't tell him, he's not
That's
here.
all right, excuse me. Anyways, back to the bill. What I want to point out here is how narrowly crafted this is. We all of us have lived here in the summer times here in Florida. How hot, how almost unlivable it gets if your AC system is not working. And as we heard in testimony today, that is one of the main reasons for bringing this forward. This is a very, very narrow carve-out, and I'll just read a few of those points. This is going to be for any apartment complex with 100 or more. Already eliminates any apartment complex with 99 units or less. This is for minor repairs, existing electric water heaters, existing electric heaters in these apartment buildings. It can only be done by employees of the apartment owner who have a certified apartment maintenance technician license issued by the National Apartment Associations. That license has to have 1 year of apartment or rental housing maintenance experience, successful completion of 90 hours of courses, of which include heating and air conditioning system maintenance. The equipment must already be installed. It cannot be so much of a change that it's modifying the equipment enough to actually replace the whole unit in itself. It can only be used to replace components necessary to return the equipment to its original condition, and it must be components that are functionally identical to the parts being replaced. These are changes that you and I can do in our home by going to Lowe's or Home Depot any day of the week. The issue is here, it can't be done in an apartment complex where people live, just like you and I, who have to live here in the 90, 100-degree weather of the summer. This is a very, very narrow carve-out to try to make it a little bit more palatable for them. Anytime I'm filing this bill, I'm looking for ways to reduce government, to make it easier for people to live and bring down costs, and that's exactly what this amendment does. That's what the whole bill does. So I appreciate your support. I hope that you will understand the impetus for it. This is a great bill that's going to help home ownership become affordable for all. And with that, I close, and I appreciate your favorable support.
Thank you. Representative Eagle, having closed on his bill. Cheryl, will you please call the roll?
Chair Nunez?
Yes.
Representatives Antone?
Yes.
Caldwell?
Yes.
Cortez?
Yes.
Diaz? Eagle?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Ingoglia?
Yes.
Rollerson?
Yes.
Sprowls?
Yes.
Taylor? Torres?
Yes.
Van Zant?
Yes.
Members, by your vote, show CS for HB 535 as amended. Reported favorably. Congratulations, Representative Eagle. That brings